Hi, this is Deb of Phenomenal Flowers, and today we are making a Styrofoam Holiday Wreath. These are the supplies you're going to use. I have purchased banker pens. I also have pens with a white top on it. I have greenery that I purchased from Dollar Tree. I have ribbon, and you can see I've already used the ribbon, but I'm going to take it apart just to work on this project. Next, I have ribbon that I bought cases of a while back, so you probably can't find it because it was on sale. I love a sale, don't you? The styrofoam wreath is 10 inches and it's very hard. Then there's ribbon. I purchased the ribbon from Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago in an after Christmas clearance sale. And this ribbon, as well as the silver ribbon, came from Michael's after Christmas clearance. All the little pieces of ribbon are about 2 feet long. I've used them from other projects, and I've also added some other scraps. First, we're going to take the sticker off of the wreath. Then I also forgot to tell you I use pliers as a hammer, but that's just me. Use what we have. So I took some of the ribbon off of the roll and folded it to make it easier to go through the middle of the wreath. I check both sides to see if they're the same, and they are. So I just start at the part of the wreath where you can see the seam and start to wrap it around. As you can see, I'm trying to make sure that the measurements are even, and I just put a little bit more taut each time to make sure that nothing slips. So once I get a good rhythm going, I just keep going and going until I get to the middle. Once I get to the middle, you'll see I didn't have enough ribbon. But for right now, I'm going to add a little music to keep your time from being so mundane. When you get to this point, you can see that I am running out of ribbon. The good part of running out of ribbon at this point, it's almost exactly 50% of the way through. So what I do is I just take one pin to hold it into place, and I take another section of ribbon and just tear it all off. I'm sorry, I don't tear it all off. I cut it off with a pair of scissors and overlap it just a bit, and I start again. I use the scissors to make sure that it's level, and I take another pin to hold it into place, and if you look at it closely, you can see I go back to make sure that it overlaps, because I want to make sure that none of the white part is showing. I take another couple of seconds to make sure that I fold the ribbon because it does take much less time than to try to put it all the way through. And I pick up my pliers to put the pins in to make sure that it stays taut. And then I start to wrap it all over again. And this is where I take the time to fold the ribbon up again, because it's taking much too long to just drag it through. And I'm folding it, I guess, in about 4 inches, just so it's long enough to go through and not make a long mess. Now you can see I'm going to get my rhythm going again. I just have to make sure that it goes all the way over, and I'm back at it. I am going to get better at this. I tried to figure out how to shorten the video in the middle, but I wasn't able to do that yet. Even though it's sped up, I need it sped up just a little bit more. But it does show the details and how important it is to make sure that the spacing is done correctly. Believe it or not, I run out again. I know I always say time is money, but this time it was a waste of time and money because I tried to stretch it back and loosen it up and it just didn't work. So I had to take the time to overlap the ribbon again, but this time it didn't take very much, and because it is almost identically across from the other end, I was able to cover most of the inconsistent in the pattern underneath the bow. Okay, now we're at the end. I'm going to fold it over twice, put 2 pins in it. There's the first one. If you notice, I don't put the pins in straight. I always put them in an angle to make sure that it's a little bit hard for everything to fit together the way it should. Okay, now I took one of the 54-inch ribbons. Oh, first of all, the silver ribbon, I decided not to use it because the red plaid has no silver in it, only gold. I take the sprig from Dollar Tree and cut just 2 pieces off of it. Once I cut the 2 pieces off, I take the red ribbon and cut the 54-inch piece in half. Cut it diagonal. Of course, on camera I couldn't get it straight, but I normally cut it diagonal. That way I don't have to go back and try to cut it again for it to look pretty, and I'm not wasting ribbon. So it's just a 1/3 over, 1/3 over, and then I took a measurement to see how that looked. It looked pretty good. So I take a few extra seconds and squeeze it together, and I do it again. First I tried to hold it in place with a pen, but the banker pens are heavy. They're almost like a small nail. They're used for people who put up displays and event planners. So I do have those. So then I switched to a regular straight pen to put it in place, and that seemed to work much, much better. So then I take the scrap of plaid out of my Michaels bag, and then I take another piece that's wrapped around the body of the ribbon, make sure they're the same length, and then do the same basic crossover bow and lay that on top of the sheer ribbon. Pin it all together. Then I stick the greenery in it on the top, and it wasn't quite short enough, so I take the snips and snip it just a little bit more, put them side by side to make sure that they're the same length, and then I decide to put it together with a zip tie. Once I pulled it through with a zip tie, it was a little bit tight, and I wasn't sure if I could put the greens in. Put them in the back, covered it up too much. So then I decided to put it in the front. Put it in the front, put the greens in, and then I use an additional zip tie to make sure that it doesn't slide. Looks like long black licorice. I guess I have food on my mind sometimes, but do a little fluffing and puffing, and the bow looks very, very cute. One piece is a little long, so I go through and cut, then I double check to make sure that the diagonals are pretty close to being the same. They don't have to be identical, but they need to be close. So I find the seam and lay the bow on top of it, double checking to make sure that everything is flat. And I see that one part, I don't know how, but one part wound up being a little extra long, which is better than being a little extra short. So I take the scissors and cut the diagonals the same as all the other diagonals, because it's important to be consistent. It just looks better to the eye. Okay, then I realized I had the white pearls, the pins with the white pearls in it, and I decided to take that out because it was obvious. Then I changed it up with a banker pen, and I used my pliers to put the banker pins in at like a 35-degree angle so it won't come out. And I didn't use any glue, because if you wanted to put it outside or if it's somewhere in the Dallas heat, it would be much easier to stay together than if I had tried to use some hot glue. Tried one ribbon, it didn't look good, so I took the coordinating ribbon, cut off about a 12-inch strip, and I folded it into thirds. Once it's folded into thirds, I decided that it would fit right up the middle, and rather than to just put it on the bow, I decided to tie it to the entire thing and just do a normal knot. That makes sure that it doesn't come off, it doesn't shift, it doesn't move. It is here to stay. Okay. I adjust everything just one last time to make sure that it looks really, really good. And I think it turned out really well. I made 6 so far, but this is the first one that I've done in person. Oh yeah, and I had the white pins on the bottom of the wreath too. I took those out, put the banker pins, took the other white pin out, broke my nail, but that's okay. At an angle opposite from the other angle, put another banker pin in, and to make sure that it's secure and it won't come out. This is my first voiceover. Oh, and you can see it turned out really, really cute.